Hi folks, how you doing? This is Iqbal with NVIDIA Daily Analysis. So NVIDIA went down about 1% today as we expected in my yesterday video. In this video, we'll discuss NVIDIA stock price movement for today and try to make an assessment for rest of the week. We'll also discuss FOMC rate cut decision and other variables that can define NVIDIA stock price movement for this week. Now, let's get started. Starting with the daily summary, NVIDIA opened at 118.17. It made a high 118.80. It made a low 114.83 and it closed at 115.59. That is 1.02% down. So today's NVIDIA's drop is in line with my yesterday expectation. And for tomorrow, I'm also expecting some volatility before the FOMC rate cut announcement. But there is also a chance that NVIDIA might recover a little bit tomorrow before the actual rate cut announcement. But if you take a look overall market overall did good. Let's take a look S&P. See, S&P was up about 0.026% today. You can see the volatility on S&P stock price, but not a big drop on S&P today. So good thing is it closed positive today. And you can see that Nasdaq also closed positive today, 0.20% up. You can see the volatility on Nasdaq, but eventually it closed positive, and that's a good sign. But Dow Jones closed negative today. It's 0.038% down, but not much. But overall, you see that market did good today with a slight decline on the Dow Jones index. Moving back to Nvidia, last 5 days, Nvidia up about 5.69%. Last 1 month is 11.08% down. Last 6 months is still up about 30.67%. And year to date is still up 139.9%. And I still have the same understanding that before the next earnings, Nvidia has more upside potential, even if Nvidia is up about 140% in last 9 months. Now let's take a look forward P for Nvidia and other AI stocks. Nvidia forward P is at 37.53 at this point, slightly lower than the last week closing, but it's getting there. Palantir forward P is about 107.21, much higher than the last week closing. And Palantir was up today as well. SMCI 13.83 is also lower than the last week closing, but not much. So SMCI is still under pressure, but I'm positive that in next week or so, SMCI should gain some momentum. AMD 39.17, slightly lower than the last week closing. So based on the forward P, it looks like that Nvidia has more possibility to go further up versus going down because its forward P is still below 40. So in my opinion, 40 forward P is more stable for Nvidia. So whenever it goes below 40 or goes above 40, it tries to go back to forward P of 40. Now let's take a look percentage change analysis for Nvidia. So based on the cumulative percentage change, Nvidia at this point is slightly below zero from the previous earnings announcement. I'm talking about the cumulative percentage change, and that is the total percentage change after the last earnings. So if I sum up together, it will give minus 0.69%. So percentage change analysis also suggests that Nvidia has more possibility to go further up before the next earnings. So as you see the graph, you see the steep decline, and then Nvidia started recovering from end of last week and early this week as well. And after that, slight decline, and that's expected, right? But I'm not seeing this decline to go further down to about 100 again, right? So probably slight decline, and then we might see more upside, probably later this week or early next week. Now let's take a look technical charts for Nvidia. On your screen, you see 90-day hourly interval chart for Nvidia and also the MACD chart. So as we looked at yesterday, we noticed that MACD line started going down below zero. And I had a comment yesterday that I'm not expecting the MACD line to maintain the same steep curve, right? So I was expecting maybe it can go further down a little bit from zero line, but eventually it should bounce back, right? So I was trying to compare this with this one, right? So it went down until here and then it started gaining positive momentum. So same behavior I'm expecting at this point on Nvidia. So as you can see that the momentum is not very strong on Nvidia on either side, negative or positive. So that tells that the possibility of a big drop on Nvidia is low. Now let's take a look at Fibonacci levels. You see Fibonacci levels on your screen. So as we noticed yesterday, the Nvidia was trading around 115, and 115 level, in my opinion, is a strong support level. So you can see that Nvidia, even if going down, but it's getting some pushback from 115 support level. But if it manages to go further down, then the next level of support is 108. So if Nvidia goes down to around 108, probably that will be a bonus point for those who want to buy Nvidia more. So if I had more cash, probably I would buy again around 108. On the upper side, we have the next resistance is 125, and I'm expecting that Nvidia should try to touch 125 by the end of next week. Now let's take a look Bullinger Bands. So as you see from the Bullinger Bands chart, the gap between upper band and the lower band is still not too big, right? Unlike you see here, or even you see here as well, right? So this tells that, Nvidia does not have a very strong momentum at this point. So in other words, Nvidia price movement is kind of uncertain or directionless at this point. So it's trying to wait some good or some bad news before it gets more momentum to go further up or further down. So tomorrow, beside the rate cut decision, the comments from Mr. Paul will also be important, and that would add catalyst to the stock price movement after tomorrow. Not just Nvidia, overall market. Now let's take a look some news regarding Nvidia. The very first one that says US stocks end flat ahead of Fed rate cut decision. So as we noted, S&P, Nasdaq, and Dow Jones, you see that we didn't see a big movement on those indices today. So they were probably about less than 0.1% up or down today overall. So now the next one, and that's more about Salesforce. You see that lots of news about Salesforce and BlackRock. So this one looks interesting and it's good for Nvidia, that says that Nvidia will support global AI infrastructure investment partnership, offering its expertise in AI data center and the AI factories. Now you see that Nvidia is planning to acquire another software company. It looks like from last 3 to 6 months, Nvidia continues to acquire more companies. So that tells that Nvidia is trying to expand its investment on the AI infrastructure. So now this one that is more about Nvidia, that says Nvidia stock has room to run but analysts see more upside for six other chip makers. So even if they talk about other chip makers, but still Nvidia is more competitive than other chip makers, in my opinion. Now these two looks to me pretty generic, and that says Nvidia stock gains. AI is still the biggest driver for chips. And another one that says its new AI chip is in hot demand, analyst says. So nothing much about Nvidia or nothing new about Nvidia in today's analysis and news. Now let's take a look other AI stocks. So as you see in my watch list, a mixed behavior. Some are green and some are red. Nvidia, SMCI, Avago, and AMD in the red side, and Apple, Palantir, SoundHound, Microsoft, and Amazon in the positive green side. So that speaks about the volatility in the market before the Fed rate cut decision. Now let's take a look economic calendar for this week and early next week. So as you see, tomorrow we have FOMC interest rate cut decision and Mr. Powell conference. Thursday, weekly initial jobless claim, and Friday, nothing much. And next week, Monday, also quiet. Tuesday, nothing much. And Wednesday, next week, also nothing much. And Thursday, we also have weekly initial jobless claim next week. And Friday, we have the PC index, and that is important. So as you see that in terms of the economic data, nothing much is coming in next few days except FOMC rate cut decision. And most likely a Fed will do 25 basis point, and I guess that won't be a surprise for the market. So I guess Nvidia will continue to move sideways before the FOMC and after the FOMC rate cut decision until and unless we see something good regarding Nvidia, maybe some good news or some new data, some new projects. Because at this point, Nvidia does not have any new driver that can add new momentum to Nvidia, okay, or that can take Nvidia to a new high. Let's put it this way. So I guess that's all about Nvidia analysis and assessment for today and rest of the week. I hope you liked the video. Thank you so much for watching. Talk to you more tomorrow. Take care.